Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
Instead of, the usual geopolitical trend or maybe astrophysics, we're actually performing a systems analysis on, well, the architecture of human endeavor itself.
Okay. Intriguing. And we've got a really fascinating source for this. A very comprehensive personal blueprint. It's specifically a weekly review document from week 38, 2025.
Right.
And this thing is like a strategic operational report for a person. It covers, everything from super detailed sleep metrics and progressive push-up goals all the way to some deep, pretty technical critiques of the modern programming world.
So our mission here is, well, it's pretty straightforward. We want to unpack the systems, the whole philosophy behind this intentional living blueprint.
Extract the core principles, basically.
Exactly. How does someone maintain that consistency, drive actual progress without hitting that wall? The burnout that usually just tanks self-improvement efforts.
And we get a clue right away, a really strong signal that the system is laser-focused on efficiency. And objectivity, too.
How so?
Well, right off the bat, the author mentions they're using AI, specifically using it to evaluate and rewrite their own weekly progress reports.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just, like, journaling anymore.
No, it's applying objective computational analysis to self-assessment, taking a step back.
Huh. But doesn't that raise a flag? Using AI to rewrite your personal progress.
Yeah.
Does that risk kind of distancing yourself from your actual subjective feeling? Trading, maybe, authenticity for pure optimization?
That's a fair question. It's definitely a calculated risk, I'd say. But the philosophy underpinning it seems pretty solid. The goal is to root out bias.
Okay.
As the author puts it, tracking and specifically the act of writing down the details. That provides the objective data.
Right, and that objective data, according to their notes, gives the, and I quote, crucial awareness needed to make informed decisions. So the whole point isn't hitting some perfect score.
No.
It's about being proactive, making those small course corrections based on, well, clear, factual feedback.
Which leads us perfectly into the main structural innovation they put in place to fight that exact issue, the perfectionism trap. It's what they call the tiered goal system.
Okay, let's definitely unpack this one right now, because this feels like the absolute key to minimizing that motivational friction. Why this tiered approach? What's the thinking?
Well, it seems like the genius move for achieving that long-term kind of nonstop consistency. The author clearly recognized that a single high, rigid target like, say, hitting the gym 5 times a week, no matter what.
Yeah, that sets you up for failure.
It really does. It's a recipe for zero-sum thinking. You miss that target once, the whole week feels like a bust, and you're way more likely to just quit altogether.
So, okay, instead of demanding, 10 perfect push-ups every single day, which, let's be honest, might be genuinely impossible on a low-energy day, or maybe you're traveling.
Exactly. They set up 3 targets, 1, 2, or 3 push-ups daily. And the crucial insight here is that tier 1 target, just 1 push-up.
The baseline.
That's your absolute low-friction baseline. You always have an achievable floor. It guarantees forward progress, keeps the chain going, even when you have basically zero motivation to hit that top tier 3.
So the key is locking in that small win every single day. It prevents that zero-sum trap that leads to just throwing in the towel. You're always maintaining proactive, intentional progress.
Precisely. It shifts the whole focus from achieve perfection, which is daunting, to simply maintain intentionality. And this core principle, this idea of reducing friction and minimizing dependencies, well, you'll see it pop up again. It doesn't just apply to their physical goals.
Okay, speaking of minimizing friction then, let's transition into the health metrics. They seem to put a lot of emphasis on this, calling it crucial for daily energy, long-term resilience.
Oh, yeah. The data here is meticulously gathered. The sleep log showed overall sleep quality was notably fragmented. That was their term.
Fragmented how?
Average 6.57 hours daily, which isn't terrible, but it was consistently biphasic, broken into 2 distinct periods.
Okay. Not ideal for rest.
Not at all. That kind of pattern really prevents that sustained deep rest we need for proper physical and, mental restoration.
But interestingly, they were quick to diagnose their own system based on this data. They noted a significant improvement compared to the previous 2 weeks, right after finishing some medication.
Right.
And they actually hypothesized, based on the data, that the medication might have been messing with their magnesium levels, which we know is key for sleep regulation.
Yeah.
So they're actively troubleshooting.
Exactly. And making immediate, pretty simple environmental tweaks based on that fragmented sleep data, like switching to a firmer pillow, using a cooler blanket, basically trying to create a more optimal sleep environment. Again, low friction, potentially high impact changes guided by that objective feedback loop.
Makes sense. Okay, what about movement? Steps.
The steps log shows they were consistently active, averaged just over 6,501 steps per day for that week.
Which is pretty good.
It is, but what's fascinating is the analytical rigor they applied even here. They didn't just take the raw average number. No, they recalculated it. They removed the lowest and the highest walking days of the week. Likely days with unusual activity or maybe forced rest to get a refined, probably more accurate baseline.
To find the typical active day.
Precisely. Came out to 6,175 steps over 5 truly active days. This is someone who wants to understand their real consistency, not just let outliers skew the weekly total.
And that tiered system we talked about. It seems to be working for the push-up habit. The notes say it's progressing slowly but surely. Now, looking at weight, a slight upward trend overall, net gain of 0.25 kilograms, stabilizing around 67.55 kilograms.
And they detailed their dietary strategy, too. Mentioned resuming normal meals while on that medication, but since then, they started resuming intermittent fasting when necessary.
Okay, let's pause there. For listeners, they mentioned 16852 fasting. Can you quickly break that down? What does that mean practically?
Sure. So 168 is the common one. You fast for 16 hours and have an 8-hour eating window. Pretty standard intermittent fasting. The 52 part likely refers to sometimes supplementing that with the 52 method. That's where you eat normally most days, but on 2 non-consecutive days of the week, you significantly modify, usually reduce, your calorie intake. It's just a structured way to manage overall intake mixing methods.
Got it. And the diet ratio itself was kept at 1.1.2 plants to protein to carbs. But the real, maybe genius move for consistency, again, seems to be the simplicity of the meals. Regular miso noodle soup with vegetables and soft-boiled eggs.
That right there is the physical manifestation of that whole dependency minimization philosophy we keep seeing.
How so?
When you slash the cognitive load of what should I eat today, you prevent decision fatigue. You guarantee consistency because it's easy. It's low-friction cooking, which frees up mental energy reserves for more complex stuff.
And that low-friction approach carries over into their mental practice, too. They didn't just rely on regular sitting meditation, which also had that tiered 123-minute structure.
Right.
They actually experimented with guided sleep meditation, specifically noting that this adaptation helped improve that fragmented sleep quality we talked about. And overall, the week felt, quote, more noticeable stoic.
Okay, so if we accept that the author's main goal is reducing friction, minimizing dependencies in their physical life, from tiered push-ups to simple soup, let's see how that same pursuit of simplicity plays out in their most complex arena, the tech stack.
Right. Here's where we pivot to the projects, the hobbies, and this pretty intense deep dive into the technology landscape. They are definitely juggling a lot here.
Yeah, on the productivity front alone, the writing volume was huge, 2 posts daily, and somehow they managed to write a specific blog post about Elixir and Erlang, while also working on updating their continuous integration, the CI systems, to support the newest Erlang release, OTP 28. That's multitasking.
And the coding itself is all over the place. Contributions across multiple GitHub repos. Go, Python, Elixir, Erlang, Rust. Dealing with totally different memory models, different philosophies, mostly focused on CI updates, documentation fixes, and the ever-present typo fixes.
But navigating all that diversity seems to have led them to a really strong, very critical, almost philosophical takeaway after dipping back into the JavaScript ecosystem.
Oh yeah, what was the verdict?
Uncompromising. Their take, after being away for years, was basically, it still suffers from the same problems I experienced so many moons ago. Excessive complexity and fragmentation, which leads to dependency hell and tooling overload.
Oof. Dependency hell.
Yeah.
It's a strong phrase. For anyone listening who isn't deep in the coding weeds, can you paint a quick picture? What does that fragmentation feel like in practice?
Okay, imagine you need to bake a cake.
Right.
In a language like Go or Erlang, with a strong standard library, it's like the core team gives you the flour, the sugar, the oven, all guaranteed to work together smoothly.
Right, built-in tools.
Exactly. In the fragmented JS world, it's more like you have to download the flour package from vendor A, the sugar library from vendor B, maybe the oven framework from vendor C, and then you need a whole separate tool, like a build manager, just to make sure those 3 separate things don't suddenly conflict or explode when you try to mix them.
So it's like needing 3 different wrenches, 2 proprietary screwdrivers, and maybe a mandatory software update just to change a light bulb.
That's a great analogy. It's just too much friction, too many potential points of failure for what should be simpler tasks.
Okay, I get it now.
And that harsh critique clearly drives their preference in tech stacks. They explicitly contrast that JS experience with Golang and Erlang, which they feel are heading in the right direction.
And the why behind that preference is rooted in simplicity, right?
Hmm.
Simple language design being opinionated, meaning there's often one clear, best way to do things, and that crucial importance of a robust standard library.
Absolutely. When a system gives you great tools built in that standard library, it massively reduces your need to rely on external, sometimes flaky third-party dependencies. It just stabilizes the whole environment, which is why the author had that specific wish for Elixir.
What was that?
They hoped the core Elixir team would eventually include common, really significant libraries like rec for HTTP requests directly within the official standard library release. Again, minimizing that external reliance.
Okay, and the AI integration fits this pattern too then. They switched to using Gemini client as their main AI assistant for pet projects.
Yeah, and notice how they're using it. It isn't about having the AI write all the code from scratch. It's using it as an objective tool to help refactor complexity.
Simplification again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Helping identify and clean up duplicated code, pinpointing potential issues. It's an augmentation tool specifically aimed at simplification and reducing internal dependencies within their own code.
Right.
And it's important to catch the nuance. They explicitly state they don't agree with all the AI's recommendations, but they value the exposure to different approaches, the objective structural view it provides. It's like a specialized wrench they use selectively to fight their own potential code dependency hell.
Makes perfect sense. Finally, let's touch on the non-digital hobbies. They show that same process. Tracking progress, starting with low-friction tasks. Gardening, for instance, restarted seed germinations, noting the monsoon humidity is actually helping speed things up.
Yep, and home improvement is that slow, steady decluttering, clearing out paperwork first with bigger tasks like curtains and grout work noted as pending, waiting for dedicated time slots. And you even see their meticulous standards or maybe friction avoidance in the hobbies that are currently stalled.
Like fish keeping and photography.
Yeah, they're paused. Why? Lack of appealing fish species, they specifically mention avoiding the floods of genetic modified types. And for photography, still searching for the best macro lens for their mobile setup. They refuse to settle for suboptimal tools or materials, which would just introduce friction later.
Okay, so let's synthesize all this. When we connect the tiered health goals, the simple cooking, the tech philosophy, what's the unified system here? What does it all mean together?
I think the entire document, the whole system, boils down to a relentless pursuit of simplicity and dependency minimization. That really feels like the core learner takeaway here. The system is designed to fight friction at literally every level.
Right, so whether it's creating that super low friction tiered goal, the one push-up baseline we talked about, or preferring low-friction cooking with simple meals like miso soup.
Or, on the tech side, favoring a programming language with a robust standard library like Go or Erlang, explicitly over the fragmentation and dependency hell of JavaScript.
The objective is identical across the board. Reduce friction, increase consistency, and actively fight that dependency hell, whether it's in your code or your daily habits.
And it's that continuous objective feedback loop that makes it work. Tracking the sleep data, analyzing the step counts, actually switching the pillows, using AI to refactor code. That's what drives the constant alignment with their goals. They track, they analyze, and then they act. Small, informed adjustments.
So we've really seen how this intentional tracking and system design reduces complexity, both in something tangible like physical health and in something abstract like complex technology systems.
Absolutely. And I think the greatest insight, the most transferable one, is that authors' stated preference for simple language design, opinionated and standard library in their technology choices. If we take that idea and connect it to the bigger picture of living intentionally, here's a thought for you, the listener. How can you create a standard library of non-negotiable, essential, opinionated routines in your own personal life? Routines that reduce your reliance on external motivational dependencies and help you fight your own kind of lifestyle dependency hell.
That's powerful. Like, think about what are your Go and Erlang habits? The bedrock things you do almost automatically. without needing a bunch of external tools or, excessive emotional tooling just to get started. The things that guarantee some forward progress no matter your energy level that day.
Exactly. That intentional architecture, that personal standard library, that's what seems to define sustainable success in this model. It's definitely a great question to take forward as you think about designing your own blueprint.
Fantastic thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive. We'll see you next time.